two-part process. The first being the submission of a letter of intent, which is kind of described in guidelines on page 9. And essentially, it's a fairly open format. The guidance we give you, 2 pages or less, please explain why working in a mentorship relationship with Tere O'Connor is important to you at this stage in your artistic career. And I think that for me, that part about this particular stage in your artistic career is a very important thing to ask yourself too. Is why are you ready at this stage in your artistic career? Where are you in your stage of the artistic career? And one of the things I always suggest in writing letters of intent, and even in CHIME, and any kind of, talking about being ready to mentorship, is this sense of urgency, like this is important to you right now, sometimes, in the review criteria, looking, the panel or the ad hoc or the chair, whether it's for CHIME Across Borders, there is this kind of looking at, sometimes we do choreographers of different generations, but in a sense, like there's still this idea of whether you're emerging or established or working 20 years or having, worked, 5 years or what it is, but that there's still something going on that you're ready to be shaken. And also to ask yourself, are you ready to be shaken as well? And then also to kind of, in the letter of intent, there's the opportunity to, talk briefly, about yourself and your work. But I would really say the letter of intent should be focused on the need right now, what is going on right now, what are your interests right now, and how are you ready to be mentored, and also why Tere O'Connor. Now, not everyone who's ever applied has been extraordinarily familiar with the mentor's work, right? But, at the same time, like, read his statement, his greeting, and look at his work, and that's also important, that, you're writing about why this person also, that makes a strong letter of intent. Why now, why Tere, why mentorship, essentially, in 2 pages over. And then you're also going to submit a short biography. That is a place where you can really kind of talk about how long you've been working, what disciplines you've worked in, etc., right? So you don't have to spend your precious real estate in the letter of intent trying to introduce yourself, like, fully, like I said, the focus is on the whys. And you have a short biography, you submit a resume as well, a work history, and they're all in there. And then we're also this year opening up the opportunity for you to offer an online work sample. So just submit an address, whether it's a YouTube link or something on your website or Facebook or whatnot. The first round applications, the first round letters of intent, are not going to be reviewed by Tere. It's actually reviewed by an ad hoc committee of 3 artists working in the Bay Area who see a lot of work. And then Margie is there as a consultant as well. And so from, let's say we get 20 letters of intent, from those, a manageable size of 6 to 8 applicants will be invited to submit a full application. And so the person who will be viewing this is someone who has been working, in the Bay Area, who does go see work in the Bay Area. But sometimes, as the case, ad hoc members aren't familiar with everyone, And so this year we're giving the opportunity to submit a work sample. We haven't put any limitations on it. For the full application, the second round application, there will be more of a type of, for example, 10-minute of continuous footage from a work created in the last 2 years, something like that. There'll be, guidelines. If you want to submit a promo video, you can submit whatever you like.
For this?
For this round, right? You can submit however long you like, understanding that basically the ad hoc is going to watch whatever they want to watch, whatever part they want to watch.
Well, I think it's important to point out that at this point, like, providing a YouTube link or whatever, it's an invitation for the panelists to look at that on their own time. So, like, during the actual deliberations, no one's watching that. For example, the panelists or a committee
And I would say, as you, for those of you who've applied to lots of things, you'll know this. If you haven't, I would just start your education now, which is that panelists hire very quickly, and if they have to look at 20, more often than not these days they have to look at hundreds in a panel. Now it doesn't happen with us, but when I apply for something, I have to think, okay, there are going to be 400 other applicants, all equally interested. What am I going to put forward that's going to grab that person's eye and make them want to watch for more than a second? You know, they are not going to sit there till they get to the 5 minutes that you think is the most interesting. So it's your job to make whatever you put up there something that you think is going to grab their attention right away. And the thing that's always hard as an artist is we all know that a work is an hour long, for instance, because it needs to be an hour long for it to go through the kind of trajectory it needs to go to say what you want to say. But if the first 20 minutes goes like that, you is dead in the water. Might as well not have applied, even though you know you needed it to go like that in order for it to go like that. So, think about it.
Yeah. And the reason, the purpose for the ad hoc members to have access to an online work sample, it's not necessarily the person who already has come and seen your work, right? It's for the person who is unfamiliar to get a taste. And as it says in the review criteria, the review for this round is, the artistic excellence of the mentee, as evaluated by, ad hoc members, artists who see a lot of work or who will be able to go online and view it. So you put your best foot forward, and whatever technical quality hopefully will, at least make it clear to watch and somewhat easy to watch is always appreciated. And yeah, I would anticipate maybe they'll watch a minute, so I definitely think that, like I said, you have the option of submitting a 20-minute online work sample that builds slowly, but more likely than not, the panel, the ad hoc member's not going to watch it. So,
I just interject that I don't feel like this YouTube link or whatever is something that you want to spend a lot of your time on. Like, if you already have to go up on the web and you can point to it, I think that's kind of the idea. Like, when it comes to the second round and you're preparing a work sample that Tere's going to look at, then you want to be, then that's really one of the great just because they might not look at it, I would hate to be recommending that you guys, get out iMovie and make this great, amazing thing and spend 3 hours on a special minute
that's really
that might not even get watched.
Yeah, absolutely. So but people always have questions about work samples, one way or the other. So just to be clear about it, and it is optional, right? So, that's really a secondary thing. I think the letter of intent, and it says the clarity, the compelling nature, the urgency of the mentee's statement about their interest in working as a mentee with Tere O'Connor. And the other thing I want to say about the review criteria or part of the selection process for any CHIME program is it's really about everyone who will be involved, right? CHIME in San Francisco, it's about the pairing. It's not just about the panelists being excited about the mentee. It's about the mentee and the mentor together. Why now? Why these two? In the same way, the selection process will also involve looking at the people who are going to be in the room together, as well. And that's something you can't predict. You can only talk about really your attitude towards being mentored and why it's important to you right now, or why Tere is important, and that sort of thing. So does anyone have questions about the letter of intent section? It's going to be due postmarked by the 1st. And it's 2 pages, the actual letter of intent. There's some additional materials, like I said, you can go through the checklist to submit.